What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well today. If you may remember, as of late, over the last couple of months, there has been a guy by the name of MF that came out of the blue. I think he's very good friends with Kevin Fuela, has a very similar build style to him. He came out of the blue. He made two incredibly fun tracks to ride on 125s. They were fairly flat tracks, kind of localish track style. Today, I am showing you his newest creation, which has a little bit of a little bit of elevation to it. And in traditional MF track style, I am going to be riding the 125 stay. You can see her sitting over there in the distance on the. That was actually when I was running the red plate. This was the same skin I had on my 252 stroke when I managed to somehow win one of the motors at Washougal. But I put it on the 125 today because I can think of no better feeling than trying to get that thing screaming as hard as I possibly can up this bad boy right here. I imagine that the free roam camera probably doesn't do it much justice on just how steep it is. If I come down to ground level, yeah, that's pretty steep. Same with like this downhill here as well. This is a really steep downhill. So I'm interested to see how this is going to handle, actually, because sometimes at certain elevations, we know that the bikes in this game can get a little bit wonky, but I reckon he's probably got just the right amount of elevation or steepness of the hills to where it won't get funky on us. So I'm very much looking forward to this one. It looks like it's got 40 start gates down here, so I can get some full lobbies on it as well. The ruts and stuff look like typical MF fashion, where they're not disgustingly huge, but you should still be able to get the bike in there cranked over, no problem at all. The jump sizing is kind of confirming that I think 125 might be a good bike to choose to do around this. So I'm going to see how it goes. I don't know what to expect, really, as we've not had a track with this sort of elevation from him before. But if his previous work's anything to go by, we should be in for a good time. So let's spin some laps. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's been a while. It's been a while since hopping on the 125 with boys. Obviously, I hop on the 252 stroke every now and then for a bit of fun, but the 125s don't get too much love from me anymore. At least not the modern ones. I know that anytime I do tend to hop on the 125s in this game, it's on the classic OEMs, so like the old RM or the old Kawi. I think the old Kawi 125 is probably still one of, if not my most favourite bike on the game that there ever has been. So we're riding the KTM today, nice modern KTM 125, and hopefully we're going to have a nice fun time, flow our way around. I'm already liking ruts on the faces of the jump as well, wide enough to change the jump face, not skinny enough to where it gives you any weird funky physics. Get cranked over in here. He does a very good job of highlighting the ruts as well, which is something that I think people take for granted. It's so difficult actually getting slotted into ruts, especially when you're going at a fast speed, if you can't truly see where the deep part of it is and where the top of it is as well. Right, we're shifting up to fifth. I forget we have 6 gears on this thing. Oh no. Oh, come up short on that. Okay, we might have to change down halfway up this hill. We are. Oh my god, come on. Get up to the top, please. So 4th gear was kind of the move there. I might be able to get away with 5th the whole way up if I was to clear the jump before it properly. So of course we'll try it again. And note to self, stretch that table out next time. On the brakes, hooked into this inside. The corners flow really nicely. And as you see, I'm actually getting over the majority of the jumps, no problem. And these are first attempts on this track. And you know what I always say? If you can downside jumps pretty well on your first lap, that means that the track builder has spent a lot of time and a lot of effort making sure that the track flows and you are going the right speed for all of the jumps as well. Whether this is a real track or not, I've not got the faintest of ideas. I believe MF is from Brazil, the same as Kevin is, so I know that a lot of Brazilians do like making replica tracks in-game as well. Whether this is one, I don't know. I'm afraid that my Brazilian track knowledge is not quite up to scratch as it should be. Maybe someone else knows. Oh, no idea. But we're going to stand up down here, get on the power, down this hill as fast as we can, even shifting all the way up into 6th. You don't often get up in 6th gear on these 125s. And that is, oh god, get on the brakes, get on the brakes, get on the brakes, please. Slot into there, lovely. That is already an entire lap of this track. And it didn't feel super long, but lap time, we're getting up to the 2-minute mark here. It might be just over 2 minutes. I suppose the actual footprint of the track is quite big and sprawling. It does have a large footprint. Don't overjump that rut. What I am a fan of, which I think everyone should be a fan of and can respect, is we know how, let's say, wonky this game can be with its physics and how the tyres work. And you'll find on quite a lot of tracks, if you overdo it in a rut and you don't turn enough and the front wheel climbs up and out of it, you get that horrible thing where it will ping you and you'll do like 10 360s in a row and just go flying across the map. He's done a very, very good job of rounding off the top of the rut so that doesn't happen. So round of applause for that. It's just little details that just make your overall enjoyment of a track that much better. There we go. We jumped it, no problem that time. Kept it in 5th the whole way to the very, very top. That'd be so fun just having drag races against people up there. I think track would be fine on a 450 as well, in complete honesty. I can see different bikes having different strengths and weaknesses. We like riding the 125 though. There is no better feeling, other than maybe hitting the perfect tyre tap, than ragging a 125 around tracks in this game. Because we all want to do it in real life. We all do not either have the skills or the fitness to do it in real life. Some of you out there will be. Some of you are insane on a bike. But so if you can then go and translate it and do it over in game, it at least gives you maybe half of the feeling that you might get doing it for real. And you haven't then got the issue of 1, wearing out, 2, getting injured. Lovely stuff all round. I'll take that. Track does look visually appealing as well. See the sun off in the distance there with the mountain ranges and stuff like that in the background. Very green, very vibrant. What does it look like? Actually, yeah, let's have a little look. I don't do this very often. Let's see. What does it look like without reshade? I mean, that's still fairly bright in terms of MX Bike Shakes. I always forget how like dull this game is without having reshade on. I can't believe it hasn't had any sort of like proper graphics update over the years. So thank God for programs like Reshade. That's quite a big difference. I generally do forget what the game looks like without it sometimes. But yeah, there you go. Looks nice and bright, nice and lovely, and still not too terrible without Reshade either. Now you might be noticing some videos in some weird orders from me over the next day or two, or even the day or two before this, because I don't actually know when they're going to be going up. I know. Obviously, I'm pre-recording a few for the MX of Nations weekend, so you've got videos for every single day. However, a lot of the tracks that I'm playing right now, I think it's just been like the perfect storm. Usually I miss a bunch of things when I go away, but it seems like this time there's a whole bunch of tracks coming out whilst I'm away, but they're to a point where I've been lucky enough that people have slid in my DMs and given them to me to play to make videos on in advance. The issue is, they don't know the exact days of releases yet. So it's like I'm recording all these and uploading them to YouTube and then just kind of going by what they say on the actual scheduled release date will be and then trying to schedule them accordingly on the fly. So if you do see a video where a track, well, I'm on a track and then maybe the track doesn't come out for a day or two, that is on me. I apologise, that's my bad. I try to do them on the day that they do release. On the flip side, if you see a video on a track and it's already been out for a day or two, exactly the same situation, but just the other way around. I'm only human, unfortunately. I can only do so much, especially if I'm going to be in the middle of a field with probably very little to no internet access and just having a good time. I can't constantly like check on these things and just absolutely ruin the data on my phone. So you get what you get over this next weekend. I had one of my very first, I had one or two to be fair, of man of the house jobs to do yesterday. It was not ideal. So obviously I'm very, very fortunate where I've not got to wake up at like 6, 7 a.m. each day to go to a job. I kind of work here. I can make my own hours as and when I want to. Linda, however, Mrs. Linz, does not have that luxury. She gets up and goes to work like Monday to Friday, does her bit, puts her graft in. However, one thing I didn't realise, because I obviously don't wake up at the same time, she didn't tell me until she got home, is that yesterday we had no hot water at all, and we had no heating. I usually don't turn the heating on too much, because you know it does get a little bit on the expensive side. However, getting into the colder end of the year now in the UK, it was time to crank it on at last. So we had to put the heating on 2 days ago, but then woke up yesterday, didn't wake up yesterday, found out yesterday once she eventually told me that we didn't have any hot water. Went and checked the boiler, we got no water pressure at all. And then usually, so we get given like a binder full of information of all the appliances and how they work. So we rent here, we don't live here, we didn't buy or get the boiler installed ourselves, it was here when we arrived. Did it have any information on our boiler? No, it did not. So then I had to go online, go on YouTube and go like, oh, error code, blah, 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 on this type of boiler. How do you fix this, that and the other? It was a case of like trying to let more water through into the system, and it wanted... So it was on like 0.3 bar of pressure in it, and it wanted between 0.8 and 3. And then I topped it up to like 1.5 to try and be in the middle. And then I stopped topping up, but then it kept climbing and climbing all the way up to 3. And I was like, oh God, if it keeps going higher, what if the pipes are going to burst or something crazy like that? And luckily, it topped out at 3, so it's still on the high end. It's just one of them things as well where it's like, why don't they, when you're in school, why don't they teach you actual useful things for your life? Why don't they teach you things about like your finances and all your taxes and like house problems that you can then fix and stuff like that? I don't want to learn trigonometry. I'm not using that. Well, I know they always use the thing of, oh, it's how you it's helping you learn problem solving skills for later in life. It's like, no. Teach me how to do proper things, so I've not then got to go through the stress and the time and the effort of trying to learn how to do it myself. Absolute pain in the bum. Other than that, the only other things that we've had to do really is like sometimes everything like shorts out for some reason. When we turn the oven on here, it will short out some like the lights, and it will turn the fridge freezer off somehow. Just little weird things like that. And I had a bit of an L gamer moment the other day. So it's very wet in the UK as well, especially where I live in the northern part of the UK. It rains quite a lot. Even if it's not raining, it's like quite overcast, you know. It's never really like proper sunny to where everything gets like proper dried out. We had mold problem, makes it sound worse than it is, but we've got one wall in particular in the bedroom that was getting really moldy, and it was basically the wall that our headboard of the bed was behind. We pulled the bed out, and yeah, behind the headboard, I'm guessing where there's no airflow there, it was quite bad. So I was like, you know what, we'll get the bleach out, we'll wipe the walls down, get rid of it all, sort it out before it gets any worse. So I did do that. I, however, don't use bleach very often. Mrs. Linda will quite often like clean the bathroom and stuff when you use bleach, or if you use any in the kitchen every now and then, she'll do that too. So here I'm like putting the bleach on one of these rags, wiping the wall down, etc. Am I covering my face or anything? No, I am not. The amount of fumes that I think I must have breathed in was probably a little bit too much, because the entirety of that night, my, I guess, like throat and lungs felt so, for lack of a better word, they just felt fucky. You know, I felt like if anyone has asthma at all, if you're having a bit of a moment, you've done lots of exercise, you almost like wheeze a little bit. It was to that sort of extent. And then the day after that, I was coughing a whole bunch. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Then I Googled it, and it was like, oh, you might have given yourself some sort of poisoning. And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Luckily, we're now, I think, 3 or 4 days on from that point, and it's all good. We're all cleared. But there you go. There's another life lesson. So I definitely won't be bleaching the walls without covering my face, at least, at all. Even if it's just putting a t-shirt over your nose and mouth rather than just inhaling it all. L gamer moment from me. I feel like I've had a really, really good year, just in terms of like life in general, of actually learning how to be a responsible adult, and doing things yourself is it's quite a big step up. Some people do it from obviously quite a younger age, where I was quite fortunate just to be able to rely on family all the time and have them do stuff for me. So you do feel a sense of accomplishment and pride in yourself when you do things for yourself. And not only that, is just getting out on the motorbike as well quite a few times towards the back end of this year. It's been really, really enjoyable, and getting out and socialising rather than sitting within the 4 walls all day every single day. So yeah, really, really good year, and I'm hoping that just gets better and better over the next couple of years as well. Next year, because the riding's kind of coming to an end this year now because of the weather, unfortunately, I'm hoping next year I don't start going out on the bike as late as September. I hope I can get out there even just before halfway through the year would be a W for me, and then have a good couple of months of riding and really working on that bike fitness and speed overall, because I did feel like I was improving over the couple of times I went out, and it's crazy how much going out a couple of weeks in a row can really just change your bike fitness, because that's the biggest thing for me. Is I know that I've got my old speed in there somewhere, but if I don't have the physical abilities to be able to push as hard as I want, even for a full lap, obviously you know how hard it is. If you're going for a fast lap, it's obviously so much more tiring than if you was just trying to tone it down in a couple of seconds for more of like a race pace. Once I get that sort of level back, I think I'd be really, really happy. And just being able to ride so many different bikes as well isn't something that I ever thought I'd be in a position to be able to do. Obviously, just being a normal person, growing up in a very, very normal family, I had my one bike, and that was it. I wasn't like people that I'd race against when I was younger, and they'd have like a practice bike and a race bike. I just had the one bike. You know, it done everything. And then if I'd move up to, let's say I went from 85s up to a 125, or then up to a 250 again, I just had the one bike, and then the other one got sold and we moved on And oh god, that's not a good place to case that. So yeah, being able to have a friend group that allow me to try all these bikes out and things like that has been, I feel like, very, very fortunate and very lucky. I think this track definitely does have that MF kind of flow. It's not difficult by any means, unless you're like me and you keep messing up these hills a little bit before it. That one kind of, I don't know if it's a tabletop or a double, because the landing is slightly raised, but it's fairly built up in the middle. If you mess that jump up before the massive uphill, then it will take so much extra time onto your lap. So this 125 feels absolutely perfect everywhere except for that one hill. But I don't know what I kind of expected. It's a 125 up an incredibly steep hill over there. But if you do get the jump right, you can keep in 5th gear up a hill, which is quite impressive, actually. I think so. And if you get it wrong, you just have to downshift into 4th. But the ruts hold you really, really nicely. They're nice and rounded off at the top, like I said. So even if you do go over them, you don't get any horrible effects at all. The jump scaling is really good for the 125 as well. Let's try and slot into this middle rut here. I imagine the inside there's probably quite fast, and then get onto this inside here as well. I want to try and get a fast lap before we end swing off. So this is the start finish line here, over that bad boy. Let's see what kind of lap time we can get on the power. I need to just make sure I'm in the right gear at all times, because I do not have quick shift on this thing, of course. Does not exist. Let's go scrub that bad boy. Did not get a good drive there. I kind of landed on a bump, but we've still got enough revs to keep it up in 4th, and I'm not going to scrub this next jump at all. I'm going to absolutely send it as hard as I possibly can, and hopefully we don't over jump it too much. There we go. That was a whip, not a scrub, I promise. So now we can keep it in 5th gear, hopefully all the way to the top. Oh, we're getting a little bit of head shake, front end's trying to come up. Had to kind of chop the throttle a little bit there. All the way up, down to 4th gear, drop back into this valley. Not going to scrub this jump either. I'm going to stretch that and just whip it rather than scrub it. All the way down the gearbox into this corner. Quickly shift back up into 2nd as we exit to get a little bit more drive. Downside of that, okay. I think I overjumped or underjumped it just a little bit. I mean, like, oh, you could fully send it down this hill. Oh, that's satisfying. Yeah, get the angle right on that. That's very, very nice. We got another 5th gear here as well. Yes, go on. I think that one's actually a little bit steeper than the first one. Where it's shorter, you don't kind of run out of oomph quite as much. This is a big uphill triple, which I cannot get on the 125, so I'm just going to go double single to the top. Get on the brakes, slot into this inside rut. The track, I will admit, it does feel very, very inside dominant. So if you was having a race against someone around here, I think you might have to get a little bit aggressive when trying to make a pass. I think you would generally struggle trying to pass someone around the outside. And all they have to do is kind of hug the inside everywhere, and they'd be okay. Get on the brakes again, quickly shift up into 2nd. The reason, if no one's noticed, I usually, especially on like 125s or 252 strokes, I'll always bang it all the way down into 1st gear whilst I'm braking into these corners, into sharp corners, and then that's just to get as much engine braking in as possible, because obviously it's basically non-existent in the 2 strokes. And then I'll quickly shift up to 2nd again just before I exit the corner, because otherwise you'll just need to change up far too many times as you exit, and then you're wasting time. You know, I reckon you lose probably about a 10th every time you shift a gear, and especially if you shift in the wrong place, then you'll lose more than a 10th, because the slingshot on the entire next straight is not ideal. So you saw that lap time there. That was a fairly decent lap. A 2-minute flat 0.31. Could probably be improved on the 125, I'll be honest. I imagine on a 450, you're probably looking at knocking quite a few seconds off that, mostly just on this hill alone. This will be the big difference maker. This hill and then that hill in the distance over there, getting the triple up it, would be a big difference as well. Let me quickly try, before I disappear, let me try and see if I rail the outside in this corner up here, if I can actually clear that triple or not. So we're going to rail the outside. No, I don't think... Oh, yeah. Oh, barely. But I did kind of come from off track there, so I had a lot of speed built up already. So maybe not normally on a 125. 450, you probably got no problem at all. But really fun, really flowy, very pretty track as well. And thank you, MF, for sliding in my DMs and letting me play this, so I get to get the video out for you whilst I'm away. So if you have enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, all that lovely stuff. Have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you guys are up to, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.
Lynn's in the zone, never backing down. Riding MX bikes, he's the talk of the town. 2022 champ with a YouTube crown. His game is tight, no signs of slowing down. Late nights, bright lights, he's chasing that fame in the digital arena. Writing his name, she's a 10 out of 10. Supporting his lane, hairline might receive, but his passion's the same.